Yo, what is up everyone? Today we're going to be learning how to create this custom range slider. And as you can see, when I drag the slider, the value here changes. So with all that said, let's get started with the project. Okay, so I'm in my code editor. I'm going to start by creating a HTML file and I'll call it index.html. I'll type exclamation mark and tab to generate the HTML template. And for the title, I'm just going to say custom range slider. Inside of the body, I'll create a div with a class of container. And inside of this container, we're going to put the range slider. So I'll type input and it'll be a type of range. And for the class, I'm just going to say slider with an ID of range. It also needs a minimum and a maximum value. So minimum will be 0 and maximum will be 100. So that's it for the range slider. Below here, we're going to create a div where we're going to put the values. So I'm going to say div with a class of value. And for now, I'm just going to put 20. So I'm just going to open this in live server. And this is what we have so far. Next, I need to create a style sheet. So I'll do that right now. I'm going to call it style.css. And in index.html, we need to link the style sheet. So link tab and href will be style.css. So we need to import the font we're going to use, which will be Poppins, but feel free to use any font of your liking. So I'm just going to type in Google Fonts Poppins. And I'll scroll down, select regular 400. And here, I'm just going to copy this, import URL, and paste it in style.css. Okay, so next, I'm just going to do a CSS reset, margin 0, padding 0, box sizing border box. And everything will have a font family of Poppins. Next, I'm going to style the body. So body, I'm going to give it a background of 875 8FF. Next, I need to style the container. I'm going to say display flex to display the items inside of the container in a row. Align items center to align them to the center vertically. And background will be white. We're going to also add some padding. So padding, I'll make it 3 rem all around. And I'll give a border radius of 5 pixels. Margin will be 5 rem on the top and bottom, and auto on the left and right, which will center the element horizontally. And I'll give it a width of 50%. Next, I'm going to add box shadow. So box shadow, 0 pixels horizontally, 32 pixels vertically, and blur radius of 40 pixels, spread of 19 pixels. And the color will be RGB 0, 0, 0, 0.25. And next we're going to style the slider. So slider, we're going to say appearance none to override the default CSS styles. And we'll give it a width of 100%. The height will be 8 pixels. And the background will be EBE 9E7. Next, I'm going to say outline none. And I'll give it a border radius of 5 pixels. Okay. Next, we need to style the thumb. So this right here. And below the slider, I'll say slider, WebKit, which optimizes this styling for majority of browsers. And slider, thumb. Appearance will be none. And width, 20 pixels. Height, 20 pixels. And background will be 875 AFF. And we'll give it a border radius of 50%. So we'll make it a circle. And cursor or pointer. Okay, so next we need to optimize the range slider for Mozilla browser. So I'm just going to copy everything inside of here. And I'll say slider dash moz range dash thumb. And I'll just paste everything in there. And we also need to style the value here. So below here, I'll say value, display of flex, justify content center, and align item center to center it both horizontally and vertically. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger as well. So font size of 20 pixels. And I'll add a margin left of 1 rem. And for the background, we'll give it that same primary color. So 875 AFF. And we'll give it a color of white. For the width, we'll say 80 pixels. And the height, 40 pixels. And the border radius, 5 pixels. So that looks pretty good so far. We want to be able to update the values when we drag the slider. So for that, we need JavaScript. So I'm going to create a JavaScript file and I'll name it app.js. In index.html, above the closing body tag, I'll type script, src, and the source will be app.js. So in app.js, we first of all need to get the slider. So I'll create a variable called slider and I'll make it equal to document.getElement by ID, which will be the range. Next, I'll create another variable where we'll get the value. So this right here. So let value will equal document.querySelector value. And we need to add an event listener to the slider. So I'll say slider.add event listener, and we'll listen for an input. So when the user drags the slider, and it'll be an empty function. Inside, we're going to say value.text content will equal this.value. So we also need to make it so that the value is the default value we gave it, which is, oh, actually, we didn't actually put that. So I'm just going to put it here. So value, and I'll say the default value would be 50. So we need to make sure that by default it's 50. And to do that up here, I'm just going to say value.innerHTML, and I'll make it equal to slider.value. You can see it's updated here. And if we drag this, the value changes. One more thing I want to do is that the background here should show the progress as we drag it. So everything on the left side should be the same color as the thumb. So first of all, I'll create a function, calc value, and I'm going to say value percentage let value percentage will equal slider value divided by slider.maximum value, and we'll times that by 100 to get the percentage. And we'll say that the slider.style.background will be equal to backticks linear gradient or linear dash gradient to right .875 AFF, which is that purple color. And here we say value percentage, and we'll put the percentage outside, and we'll say EBE NE7, and we'll put the value percentage there. And we'll put the percentage outside. So when we drag the input, we also want to calculate the value. So here, I'm just going to put calc value. And if I drag it, you can see that the background changes here. So if I reload the page, you can see that it only comes up when we drag it. We want it to come up when the page loads. So just below here, I'm just going to put calc value. And there we go. So that is it for today. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.